Hello, and welcome to Speak Honest. I am your host and certified relationship coach, Jennifer Noble. It has been my passion for over a decade to help women like you heal what's been holding you back from having the relationships you deserve. Are you struggling with a relationship where you can't seem to voice your emotions, needs, and boundaries without having it blow up in your face? Then you have found the right podcast, my friend. Get ready for practical tips, empowering truths, and honest conversations. Now, let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. So for today's episode, I wanted to give you all a little bit of a heads up. The audio did not turn out very well in this podcast because I forgot to hit record. Yay for mistakes. But the podcast or the coaching call was so good that I didn't want to lose it. So I asked my producer to pull out as much audio as he could from the video. And that's what he came up with. But as you'll be able to tell soon, it is a bit rough. But if you get a chance to listen to it and finish it, I think it's going to be an amazing story to listen to. Because in this coaching call, I talk with Dee. And Dee is a casual teacher. And as a result, she's really starting to struggle with a bit of perfectionism and imposter syndrome. And as we talk about in the podcast, I myself have struggled through these things, and I didn't even know it at the time, but I had not even pressed record as I'm sitting there telling her about the mistakes I've made and I will make in the podcast. So you get to really hear those very human mistakes happening in real time. But as you're listening to this episode, what I really want you to do is just kind of keep an ear out for the key takeaways of perfectionism and imposter syndrome and how those really start to take hold in your life and the cost of what those can do to you if we don't kind of keep those in check. So for right now, I want to go ahead and dive right into the episode. Enjoy. Hi, Dee. Thank you so much for calling in. I'm really excited to get a chance to talk with you. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and about your situation and what brought you to want to come talk to me today?
Yeah, it's career-based. I'm a mature age new graduate to teaching. I probably have experienced a fair bit of imposter syndrome. I could have been teaching a couple of years ago. I've procrastinated a lot. I have struggled with perfectionism in the past. Anyway, I'm out there and I'm teaching that. I'm doing casual relief teaching, but I think some old beliefs and old programming might be coming into play. And I just really want to tame that before it gets out of hand and I give up on teaching after taking 8 years part-time to do this degree. I don't want to give up on my dream before I've really even given it a go because my own self-talk has got the better of me.
I love that. That's so good. So what I hear you saying is you have a new opportunity for a job. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in teaching?
Yeah. Well, I have started casual teaching. So I finished my uni course at the end of last year. I was cleared to teach early this year. I stopped putting it off, and now I spent a few months casual teaching over a few schools. So I am out there doing but any little small mistake I make, I'll go back into those old patterns. I shouldn't have made that, even though I know I'm a beginner teacher.
Yeah.
And I'll go back into that. After 2 terms of casual teaching, I can look back and think, I think I've lost myself already. I've gone back into that. What is she thinking? What are they thinking? Do they think that's good enough? Instead of returning to myself and saying, you know what? That wasn't perfect today, but I can put a strategy in place so I get that right next time. I'm a new teacher. I didn't get that right, but I know about it now. I missed that. I'll do better next time, and just stay in my lived experience. And that is so hard for me to do.
I think that's one of the hardest things for a lot of us to do, because when we're out there and we do just have such a passion for helping other people, then all of this, it's an automatic thing that what we think they're thinking is going to start playing on us, right? It kind of comes with that need to contribute. It's kind of like the downside of it, of course. But it's very common. It's very normal. I also love how good and how well you're already consistently reprogramming. Like even as you're talking, you can tell you're like, oh, this person thinks this is me. And also I know that's not who I am. So you can already see that in the day-to-day, it sounds like you are doing a great job already with it. Now, when you mention casual teaching, is this just so that way I'm clear on what that means over here in the US, is that a specific thing or does it genuinely just mean like substitute teaching or something like that?
I think you call it sub-teaching or supply teaching. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, is there a larger goal? Do you want to become a full-time teacher or do you like casual teaching or substitute teaching, as we would call it? Yeah.
I don't know yet. Originally, I thought that I would never be able to do sub-teaching because I do believe my strength is knowing the students really well and making them still feel seen and heard and known. And that's hard to do as a sub-teaching when you're just everywhere all the time. But I gave it a go and I'm coping. And so I thought I could do this because it would save the immense. I'm not very good at setting boundaries yet as far as, okay, that's it. I can do the best I can with 3 hours after school. I know that it would bleed into 6 hours, 7 hours. If I was a regular classroom teacher, the report writing or little Johnny needs help with this and little Sammy over here. So I just thought, well, if I could really thrive in casual teaching, that would make me still be able to be the best mum I can be and the best wife I can be without allowing my work life to bleed into all areas.
Okay, so I'm hearing you say the casual teaching for you is actually so you can kind of stay part-time. Is that right?
It is good being able to pick and choose when I can work.
Yeah, because when you mentioned, you said being a casual teacher is allowing you to be a better mom and a better wife. And so how is it allowing you to be a better mom and wife?
Well, it was until I started probably putting more time in what I need to.
Okay. Oh, so tell me more about that.
Yeah. Well, so as a casual teaching, apparently there's nothing to do after. And really, many casual teachers, you just roll up 30 minutes before the bell goes, do the best you can, knowing that you don't really know the kids, you don't really know where they are as far as performing the content, and you just knock off at the end, and that's it until the next day. And I have already fallen into this pattern of what I want to do better. I'm rushing myself to do better. I'm rushing myself to improve faster than I can improve. And some of that is because I'm naturally very enthusiastic and motivated. And the rest of it is because I'm so freaking fearful of making mistakes and being judged. I'm trying to avoid that.
Oh, that's so.
And so then that is making me put in extra time.
Yeah.
When I can allow I'm a beginner teacher. I'm a new graduate beginner teacher. I'm allowed to not know things. I'm allowed to come home and just rest rather than I better quickly learn this and because one school has actually made all their programs available to me, I'll try and scan them all, just scan them in my head. Oh, because what if I'm on third grade tomorrow? It'd be great to go in and already know what they're doing rather than have 5 minutes to get my head around it. Or what if I'm on kindergarten? Let me just see what kindergarten working through this week. I'm creating a whole lot of extra work for myself.
Yeah. Where do you think that's kind of coming from? So I hear you saying like you're falling into this pattern where you want to do better and you want to do better. I see it. I think it's a really beautiful need. It sounds like a really beautiful need to be there for the children, right? Like to be better means you're going to have a bigger impact on the children. And like all needs, we're going to have that kind of upside and the downside to it, right? So your upside is you're amazing at learning new things. Like I love how much energy you're putting into this, in fact, because yes, I know a lot of substitute teachers on my end and it is show up, bribe the kids, go home, right? Like get them to show. Everybody makes fun of substitute teachers over here. Like that's a thing about it. Like they show up, read their magazine, go home. And it sounds like you want to be better than that. And I love that for you, actually. I think that's really great. And it sounds like there's a cost that's coming with it. And that cost is, it sounds like you're putting a lot of time and effort into wanting to be better. And I hear you that it comes from a fearful place. I do. It's also coming from a genuine place. Thing to be better. And so, So it sounds like you want to try to find a balance right now between those. Does that sound right?
I definitely would like to find a balance. And I know that some of it, this is where I come back to seeing things how other people might be, like going into, I must look like this to them, or she must be perceiving me this way. And I know that definitely I want to get better off. I want to improve, but I also feel like at one of the schools, they are starting to expect from me what a classroom teacher delivers. And I don't know whether it's true or not, or whether it's me just thinking they want me to be a classroom teacher, but yet I'm not here every single day. I'm not creating this content. I'm never going to deliver it and be as good as a classroom teacher. Because that classroom teacher just has to worry about her third grade. I'm on kindergarten literally 1 hour, sixth grade the next hour, because it's not always.
You don't even be like one class the whole time. You are jumping.
I can be in 5 classes every day. Kindergarten, year 3, year 6. I'm doing that a lot for RFF. You're giving the teacher their release from face to face. So I know that I'm never going to be as good as the classroom teacher, but I feel like they want me to be. And I also know that I expect that I want myself to be as well.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question about when you say never going to be as good as a classroom teacher. What does that mean to you? Like, what does it mean to be as good as the classroom teacher?
Well, sometimes I do miss things. That's a fact. Because you've got about 2 to 5 minutes to get your head around everything. Sometimes I'll miss the last bit of the lesson, like the reflection component, and I'll go home. And again, I don't need to do this. I could just be a casual teacher. I've done it. I'll be getting paid for today. Who cares? But I'll come home and systematically go through everything at my leisure when you don't miss things and think, I missed the reflection on that. I missed getting doing an example of this or showing that PowerPoint. And I think the classroom teacher doesn't miss those things because they've created that content. Yeah. They sat with it and created it after reviewed it before they were asked to deliver it. Whereas as a casual, I'm just 2 minutes, deliver it.
Has there ever been a time where someone has said something to you specifically about missing part of the lesson plan?
No.
Okay. So this is completely go on. Yeah.
But they've come close.
Okay. Tell me how they've come close. Tell me about that time.
Okay. So I always, especially if I've got a class for a whole day, I always leave I'm very wordy. I always leave a full 1-day recap of what we did, what we didn't do, behavior of certain kids, strengths I noticed, whatever. I feel like I give very detailed feedback. Less so when I'm doing the RFF and I'm in a different class for an hour because I'm packing up my gear and I'm going to the next class. So you don't have time for that writing lengthy feedback or even verbal feedback. And then the school dean, the guy that looks after the casual teachers, said to me the other day, look, Dean, I'm just telling all of the casuals, can you just make sure that you're communicating to the teacher where you're up to with the content? And I said, yeah, no worries. Okay, thanks very much for that. And I kind of did go home and overthink it. God, I'm leaving a whole page. How can that not be enough? Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'm not leaving written content after an hour. So I thought, okay, well, I can improve there. That's fine. And he also said, look, I'm telling all of the casuals that. So I didn't even know that it was targeted at me. But I want to be open to growing. So I'm just assumed that it is. And then he actually mentioned it again a week later. And now I'm thinking, okay, maybe it is me. And so I actually asked him. I was happy with that. I just said, can you give me a little bit more context about that? How are you saying it or what in particular? Because I'm all about growing and learning. But I leave a whole page and I showed him the whole page. I said, when I'm in a class for a day, and he's like, oh, gee, I didn't know you did that. And so I just don't mind stupid a little bit.
Yeah, I'd love to stop down there real quick, though, because I think as you were talking, part of what I wanted to ask you was, have you asked him? Like, have you talked to him? Have you looked at what your actual responsibility should be? I love that you figured that out. I love that you went to him and you asked him what you needed to be doing. You showed him what you were doing and see, he had no idea.
No.
What did it feel like for you when he kind of realized how much you are doing? Like, do you feel better now about how much you're doing? Is there still something going on?
I felt a little bit better. Just another one of my little fears is being unnecessarily blamed, like being blamed for things that I haven't done. So I thought, well, okay, at least now he knows I do that. But then there was still, well, I'm just like, oh, what's their comment about me? I have no proof. It could have been about other teachers. And then he did say to me, it was just one teacher, Dee. And the context was they just asked for all casuals to make sure they're communicating about what was done and what was missed.
You know, it's interesting. I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm having a thought process come up, which is you mentioned earlier that you aren't doing as well as the teachers are. Right. So I asked you, like, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean as well as the teachers? And it's like, oh, I'm forgetting parts here and I'm forgetting parts there. But let's be really clear here. You are not a full-time teacher, correct?
No.
And not that I want to get into a habit of comparing. I think right now your subconscious needs to see how amazing you're doing. And I'm wondering, I'm creating a story right now, and that's okay because it's a bit of a positive story. I'm wondering if you have come in and become such an amazing substitute that now teachers are wanting their other substitutes or their other casual teachers to be as amazing as you. Have you ever had that story come up in your head?
Yeah, but I shut it down very quickly. The other main casual, she's got 4 years experience, and then I'll go straight to, well, it couldn't be her. She's got 4 years experience. She must be getting everything right.
Interesting.
And then sometimes it's that whole self-doubt. I don't know what I can believe. Am I doing any good or am I just totally atrocious? Because without any feedback, my brain will go to, and you don't get feedback. You very rarely get feedback. Even though on the bottom of my feedback sheet, I always write to teachers, reach out if anything wasn't as it should have been, reach out if I could have done anything better, always happy to hear. They never do. That's for their and their professional growth, but not my business, because it takes, anyway, whatever.
So have you, this other one that has 4 years experience, is this a story that you're telling yourself that she gets everything right? Or have you heard around the grapevine, around the water cooler, has other people said, oh my gosh, she's so amazing. She does this, 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 and this?
No, actually quite the contrary. And that's another one of the little triggers that I had. I walked into a kindergarten classroom one day and heard the teacher and teacher's aide, and they were complaining about her, not on their kiddie class, but on a 6th grade class, and that, she didn't get through the content. And when the next person came in, all they had to do, saying, yeah, this is sounding, yeah, okay, I never really saw it have as clear as this. And they were specifically talking about how she'd had this 6th grade class, and who are a very difficult 6th class, for an hour, and she hadn't even started delivering the content. And I just walked in and heard that. And my mind has gone straight to distrust. Oh my goodness, if she's 4 years in and she's getting things not quite right, imagine what they're saying about me.
Oh, wow.
And I started feeling a little bit unsafe. Oh, this isn't really the compassionate, supportive environment I hoped it to be. I was kind of hoping that people understand you're a beginner teacher. You're not going to get it all right. But hey, come to me. Tell me. I'm open about growing and learning. And I'm just going, wow, okay, now I can't trust. But now, as you've asked those questions, maybe I am starting to realize actually maybe that one teacher that had that one complaint was that other casual teacher. Nothing to do with me.
Exactly. Let's break that down in a couple different pieces. One, I want to try a thought experiment with you. Okay. If this one teacher is saying something about the 4 years experience person and that they didn't get through the lesson, they didn't even start the lesson. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So they didn't even start the lesson. That's what she was complaining about. Well, and they're not necessarily saying anything like that to you when you were walking in. So what I'm trying to figure out here is I'm noticing a lot of you're taking things that maybe they're about this other teacher. There's a lot of comparison going on with this 4-year teacher. Yeah. Okay. And the year thing is fascinating to me because how much experience she has seems to you to give her more clout and like understanding of what she's doing. And yet what I see on my perspective is a substitute teacher that teachers I know would literally die for. Like, the things that you say you're doing for your teachers
are amazing. And I don't even hear about stuff like that. And I actually think that what you might have is, do you know what like the new teacher syndrome is?
Never heard of it. I've been looking it up.
No, I mean, I don't even know if it's like a thing that like some people coin, but the concept is like new teachers have a zest for teaching and for life. But what do old teachers tend to do? They get in, they get their paycheck, they go out. So what I want to do right now is I just want you in your mind to like reprogram, to just really quick reframe. What does it mean to have experience? Does experience necessarily mean anything to you when you hear that?
Yeah. I think
why is that?
To have experience means a lot. Means
what
navigating
downside? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. True. That's your perception of experience. What is another perception of experience, though? Because what is happening here? What happens with older teachers? What it's like? Do you guys have
complacent?
Yes. Give me more, because your brain needs to hear this a little bit more right now. Give me some downsides to being a 4-year casual teacher or even a 10-year regular teacher, full-time teacher.
Yeah, well, I guess regular teachers, they've been around the block a few times. They might already prejudge kids at the start of the year because they've had a kid like him before. Whereas I'll go in fresh and think, okay, he's having a bad day. And I'll give the kid the benefit of the doubt. And I do have really strong connections with kids.
I love that. Do you see how there's a limited belief going on about this experience that you don't have? And this isn't even necessarily about the other teacher. It's about the judgment you're putting on your lack of experience, when really what you have is, it's like, you're never going to have this again, Dee. In fact, you will
never again.
I think we need to like bottle this up. New substitutes, new teachers, people with a new zest for life. That's one of the best experiences that can actually be happening. The fact that you're putting at the end of your papers, hey, reach out if you need anything. And the fact that you're really not like reaching out, no one is reaching out. It means you're doing a great job. And so really, it's a thankless job. Honestly, I think you're doing
it. Also mean that they find it difficult. I think generally teachers, it's being a professional, teachers, you don't generally tell another teacher how to do their job because you just assume they are quite intentional in their teaching philosophy. So you wouldn't tell another teacher, give them that sort of feedback. You either just think, oh, they're a good fit for my class, or they're not. So that's where I put it down to. I don't put it down to, oh, there's nothing I can improve on. They're happy with me. I put it down as teachers don't have the ability to go up and tell another teacher, or they don't want to. They don't actually put that as part of their professional development. Hey, I want to give feedback to my casual so I can tailor a casual note, And
you're not wrong. I mean, you might not be wrong. And also, I might not be wrong. And also, what are some other interpretations of why they're not reaching out to you? I mean, we could go completely terrible. Do you want to go like over the top ridiculous? Like, what if I don't want to put anything else in your subconscious, Dee, but like, I want you to go ridiculously over the top into giving me something terrible that it could also be. Like, what if they're physically afraid of you and they're afraid if they tell you what's wrong, you're going to throw a bottle at their face? Like, that could be it. Anything could be it. That's my point, right? Like, it could be any reason, but the interpretation that you're giving it meaning to, and we know this, is the wounding that's been going on. So what are you making it mean about yourself? And I know you probably have them like kind of ready to go already. So this is going to be really good because you're really good at figuring this stuff out. But what are you making it mean about yourself that, I don't know, what's one of the things that's like kind of triggering it the most? Let me back up real quick and ask real quick. When you think back to your time as a casual teacher, tell me about a situation that stands out right now in your mind that you're ruminating over and it keeps getting to you.
Well, once I was in the third grade, I had this maths lesson, this graphing lesson, and I actually pitched it a little above their level. And I didn't really realize it. Well, I did realize it in the lesson because they were confused, but I didn't really realize until again, I've gone home that night and read over the lesson that, yes, it was pitched a little above them. It just was the beginning of the week. and they're just learning about area, and they hadn't actually been introduced to the term squared yet, meters squared, and I had introduced that term. I wasn't happy about that.
Okay, tell me what.
But I went back to the teacher the next day and I owned that. Just talk about it.
Okay, great. Oh, I love this so much. So you have this incident happen. And when I asked you, what's the one thing that kind of like comes up to your mind? That's one of the first ones. And even with her telling you, don't worry about it. Sounds like you're still worrying about it. Is that correct?
Yes, because now I think that if there's something else I do not want in her class, it starts to paint a profile. I'm going to look incompetent. I'm going to be judged.
Right.
They're all coming together talking about me, just like that you talk about this other casual teacher. I won't necessarily know. I'm happy if I'm doing things wrong, but just tell me. Just tell me. If you're talking about me, that's fine. Let me know. It's not nice, but let me know, kind of thing.
I
like transparency. I do like transparency.
Because you're talking about that too, because you were saying the thing that really kind of got you going was the fact that you walked in and these two teachers were talking about the other casual teacher. And so as you're saying, don't talk about me. So this is interesting because so you talked to the third graders about a word that they didn't know yet. And so this is something you're still ruminating over. But the rumination is coming from the fact that you think the teacher is talking to other people that you're incompetent. I just want to be clear. Is that what's going on?
Pushing mark, hey?
Okay, great. Yeah, okay. You're right. She absolutely might be. Absolutely. Let me ask you, are you incompetent?
I'd like to be better.
That's always beautiful. I think we can always be better. We can get into that in a little bit. I think there's a couple things that you could be doing that allows you to not judge your mistakes, but instead compassionately inquire about them because you're not wrong. You are making mistakes. We're all making mistakes. I've made a dozen mistakes in making this podcast. I'm going to make more in the future, where I've made mistakes as a coach. And do we make change? Like, are we shifting ourselves when we're judging those mistakes, or are we getting stuck in them instead? So with you judging the mistakes that you're making and then thinking that they're judging you for the mistakes that you're making. So it's getting like twofold now, almost threefold. And the fear is that they might be talking about you. So let me ask you a question. Now, sometimes this can be a bit scary. So if you don't want to go there, it's no problem. But I really feel like to dive into the worst case scenario, the biggest fear that you're having. Let's say there's 5 teachers, and I'm going to go over the top. But let's say there's 5 teachers. They're all getting together with a glass of wine, and they're all making fun of you right now.
Well, that's not nice.
No. Tell me how that feels.
I guess it's a little bit upsetting.
Yeah. Why would that be upsetting? Like, what about it is upsetting when you think about it? And what kind of upset are you feeling?
I think it's a little bit misunderstood. Misunderstood.
Yeah.
Yeah. They would just be honing in on maybe one or two small things, one or two mistakes, and not seeing the big picture. And also that misunderstanding. They're classroom teachers, and many of the teachers at this school are it's actually a private school, and so many of them have gone through the university attached to that. There's a university, and they've been nurtured. The path has been laid out for them, and they really have been nurtured. It's been easy. And even when I say that, I don't know all of it. But many teachers have come up to me and said, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. How do you do casual teaching? You know, that's true. So yeah, then if they were all in there having a big gossip or a big talk session about any mistakes that I've made, I guess I would have really understood, because I'm just like, you're casual teaching. You've never casual taught. You don't know what it's like to come in and have to manage behavior. And sometimes you haven't even had 5 minutes to get your head around it, because you'll get there and you'll be on playground duty. And there's this 5-minute window where you've got to get down to IT to get the computer. But if the IT guy's late, you don't even get your computer. Your class is lined up out, and it's just really difficult. They don't have because they've got a computer that they take home. They've got a classroom key that they take home. So
This is beautiful.
and then I guess the other part of it would be, I think, they don't know the hardships that I have been through in my life. And maybe I'm not getting everything right, but sometimes I get very overwhelmed. And I have had a lot of struggles. I haven't had that nurturing, positive, family environment that lifts you up.
Yeah.
So then it's not naturally for me to encourage myself when I get something wrong. And I would just think, wow, okay, you don't know, you don't understand.
Mm-hmm. So how about for yourself?
Not like they're going to tell them either if they're sitting in a room.
No, and it's not, and there's no need to. But what I want you to do is I want you to shift that energy back to yourself, because I think it's stunning. I love your passion and what you're talking about right now. And I love all of this. And also, I just want to be really clear, because I want to go back to one other tiny part when you said, I'm never going to be as good as they are. Like, I'm can't be like what they are as a classroom teacher. And everything you just explained is exactly why. You are not a classroom teacher. You are a casual teacher. So I want you in your journal or wherever it is that you reprogram, or wherever it is that like this is going to help you to move forward in your casual teaching. I want you to really write that down. You are not a classroom teacher. Mm-hmm. You are a casual teacher, and you are a completely different ball game to who they are.
Yeah, that's right. It's a different skill set.
Completely different. Yeah. And will you make mistakes?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And that's okay.
That's what I mean about losing myself.
Yeah.
At the start, I knew I'm a classroom teacher, but then as the months have gone, I'm a casual teacher, but then as the months have gone past, I'm expecting myself to be as good as a classroom teacher. And I think that sometimes they are too. And I lose it.
I want to challenge that.
So it's now holidays. And I'm like, God, stay grounded in your own experience.
Yeah. And I'm going to challenge that real quick. Has anyone really had an expectation for you to be a classroom teacher?
Yeah, at the school I do most of my work, and I think.
Oh, you think actually there have been teachers or other administration that has had an expectation for you to be a classroom teacher? You think that is the case?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's
in the public system that I work in, lots of schools have a lot of different programs now, like initially or spelling mastery and that sort of thing. And those public schools know that the casual teacher hasn't been through that training. They're not attached to a school, so they're not getting all the training.
In the private school that you're going through, if you're telling me, and that's fine, I don't even necessarily need to know. If you're telling me you have an example of someone that was a teacher or in the administration at the private school that has treated you or has talked to you and has had an expectation that you need to be doing what a classroom teacher does, then that itself,
that I'm delivering these programs is an expectation. Without any training, I'm expected, university training. Then there's all training, because this school will use that and that school will use that. I haven't been through initial training. I haven't been through spelling mastery training, yet I'm expected to deliver it.
Okay, I want to get really clear here.
Public school, they would say, casual teacher doesn't know that. Look, they'll give you a baby, that you can tell it's a babysitting. It's a keep them busy content rather than.
I just want to be careful content. Here. No, I love this so much. And I'm only interrupting you for sake of time and all of this stuff, because I just want to be careful here. But I want us to be completely rooted in reality right now. Okay?
Yeah.
I want us to be rooted in reality. I don't want stories. I don't want anything to do with this is kind of how they're saying, and this is what a public school would do. Do you know with 100% certainty that is what a public school would do to you if you worked in that public school?
Yeah, because that's what they do. Because I work in both systems.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
So, okay, but that actually might just open up a different box for a second then. If you're telling me the private school has an expectation that you need to be doing a job that you are not qualified or trained for, right? Then whose problem is that? Is that your problem or their problem?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is their problem.
Right.
And I understand the pressures around it too, because there's a real teaching shortage in Australia, and especially if casual teachers that are up and running and hitting the ground, and they are in that school anyway, they are expecting more of you.
So in this situation, Of course, they want you to come in as a casual teacher then and be a classroom teacher. That would make their life so much easier. And then they wouldn't have to pay you what they pay a classroom teacher, that you wouldn't have to be in there all the time, and they wouldn't have to worry about getting you trainings and all this other stuff. It's like as if, you're an administrative assistant and then all of a sudden you jump in as a salesperson once or twice. Yeah, that would be great for that company if you could stay that salesperson, but that's not what you're qualified or trained for. Okay. So it's great when you do it every once in a while. I'm seeing something here, which is I'm wondering if there's any sort of need for more boundaries in your workplace, either with them or with yourself in your own mental state of like really staying clear in your lane of who you are as a teacher. And like knowing that if you do more and you go above and beyond, it's not honestly in situations like this. If a school or an organization is already having higher expectations on you than is honestly allowable or you're qualified for, then no matter what you do, it's never going to be enough for them. They'll just always want more from you. So where can you set the boundaries so you know exactly who you are in this school and you be the best possible version of who you want to be, not who they want you to be?
Yeah.
So what kind of a casual teacher do you want to be?
Yeah, well, my career goal is to just be, I'm going to read it out to you.
Yes, I would love that.
I have a fulfilling job that capitalizes on my lived experience and my teaching knowledge. And I use skills to empower others in a workplace that is emotionally healthy, safe, and that also enhances my own authenticity.
That's beautiful. When did you come up with that?
The private school I work in and the public schools, both can be healthy and safe. I don't need to let the little snippets get out of hand.
Exactly. And they're going to snip. I mean, because that's the thing is we can't control what other people are doing, right? So even if these private school teachers, and I'm going like hardcore, and please do not let this get into your subconscious. I'm only using it as an over the top example. If even these private school teachers were all sitting around with their fancy ass wine, like sitting around talking about how, oh my gosh, can you believe these casual teachers are so like, oh, they're so useless, all this stuff. Like, is that about you or is that about them?
Yeah, of course it's about them.
Yeah.
So it's pressure that's on them in this system as well. So much pressure on them that they have got to care so much about maybe 1 hour I've got their class and then I need to make sure that it is, 10 out of 10 and that 1 minute hasn't been wasted. That's about them. And
So moving forward here, because I love this. You want a fulfilling job that capitalizes on your lived experience. I mean, I can absolutely see that. You are the type of person that just really can easily connect with people. I feel like I quickly connected with you myself. I really like the way that you interact with people. I think kids probably adore you and love you. And I think, wow, what an amazing casual teacher you actually are, because you can come in and be able to make those deep connections that quickly, right? So bam, that's like, I can definitely see your lived experience being great for this. You want to empower others in a workplace that you said is both healthy and safe. I think that's beautiful. So let me ask you a question. If you're focusing on the ways in which you're not enough or the ways in which you're being misunderstood, is that empowering you to be in a workplace with others? Are you empowering others if you're stuck in a mindset that others think you're not good enough?
No, I'm not.
But that's valid. Yeah. That's why I know that's why you're
I'm
here.
using my one. Like if I'm starting to feel insecure, then I'm not being my best self because I'm too busy trying to worry about how they might be perceiving things and get everything right rather than just relax with these kids. Just provide a safe, happy environment where we're progressing their learning outside. And I'm keeping the teacher happy. I'm supporting the teacher by keeping, maintaining their class while they've got their release. It may not be perfect, but if they expect perfection every single time, that's on them. But I'll take it on. So right. Boundaries.
Boundaries. Yes, thought. Like those are going to come into like your big thought boundaries, right? Those are going to come into, and it's just going to take some. Remind me again, how long have you been doing this?
Since mid-May. I've done 40 days. That's it. I've just done 40 days.
40 days. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've done 40 days, and we know that in order to shift like a wound that's going on inside of us, it takes 21 days, typically, give or take, right? Like it's completely arbitrary, but the idea is that a habit builds up 21 days, right?
Yeah.
So if we know that kind of knowledge, and we know that you've done this for 40 days, then it would make sense that to some extent, something is starting to kind of like, almost kind of like mess with that reprogramming that you've worked so hard on already in your healing.
Yeah.
I know how hard you've worked in your healing. And so let's just be careful and mindful. And if you are up for it, I would personally work on another reprogramming that you could just, it's almost just like, listen, like another like kind of pill to take real quick for 21 days or a month or so, or every single time after you sub or after you are a casual teacher. Maybe you need to have a meditation practice that either before or after teaching, you sit down with your 1 to 2 pieces of evidence that you can remind yourself. Because what I'm hearing here, and you can tell me, well, actually, let me ask you first, what couple of wounds have you heard come out of this so far? Or
not enough. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely not enough. I agree with that.
And a little bit unsafe, which perhaps there's no reason for that. There's absolutely no reason for that. I know that. That's just, well, past trauma happening. But yeah, there is no reason for that because I am safe. I've got skills. I've got savings. I've got a home. I can go and get a job in the next school tomorrow. There's such a teaching shortage. So who cares? Even if I did make a huge big mistake, or even if I didn't, I was blamed for this huge big mistake, and that school stopped giving me work. I'm safe.
Great. Well,
I won't like feeling blamed, and I won't like feeling judged. But I'm safe.
Yeah, and those feelings that you have
about me.
Yeah, but that right there, though, but the fact that you still brought it up, we know that that's just part of our subconscious, right? So let's not even judge the wound, because I hear still a little bit of a judgment coming out of, oh, I feel unsafe. Well, that shouldn't even be there. Like, right? Like, but it is. We can't control that. So before you show up to work on I am enough. So just be like, remind yourself again why you're enough. Remind yourself again why you are safe. And I would actually look into maybe a little bit of being misunderstood too, because I saw some emotions come up when we dug into that a little bit. And I know we didn't have time to dig in too much more. And I noticed you took a sharp turn the other direction. So I didn't want to like harp on it. But I think there might be some sort of, I don't know if it's misunderstood or exclusion. That's what I was trying to get with you. Like if someone else is talking about you behind your back, you're like, if they tell it to my face, I got this. So there's something going on for you internally that if someone is talking about you, not to your face, but to someone else, and it seems like it's 2 people talking about you. And like you said, you came up with it. You said, I'm being misunderstood then. And I love that for you. If you want to dive into that, I would even maybe look at I'm being misunderstood in a deeper way for yourself, and like how you are safe to be misunderstood, how it's okay if you're misunderstood, how people will constantly misunderstand us, and that's on them. And then lastly with this, so you're going to do that before and after, almost that's like a type of a meditation. You can also do it every night if you want to. This just completely depends up to you, right? You're going to take anything I say out of this. I always say this, but anything that I say is like a buffet, take what you want, leave what you don't want. But I would really highly recommend you do something towards the wounding here. And then, but lastly, then, before we finish up with this, I want to ask you, what do you think you need right now in this kind of situation to feel some relief?
Yeah, probably just that, returning to myself, returning to my own reality, just staying grounded in myself, and just, saying, it's okay to find this hard. It's okay to be imperfect. I can see progress. I can see so much progress. And if that's not enough for somebody else, who cares? I'll keep myself happy,
Yeah, I love that so much.
I can see I'm improving and I can see I'm doing my best. Casual teaching is hard. They may not have experience. They may never know, but I know it. I know it. And I hear so many other casual teachers say it, but who cares even if they're not saying it? I know. My experience is this is hard. This is really hard.
I would never substitute teach, honestly. Like I give you so much credit for doing it, because I was like, I hear people do it all the time and then they like just burn out completely because it's just so much. And I mean, teachers alone barely get the credit that they deserve. And substitute or casual teachers, like even less, right? So like, yeah, what you're doing is just like, it's an amazing thing. And then one last thing I want to leave you with is what's a reframe that we could do when you are making mistakes? Because you're going to make mistakes and someone's going to come up to you and be like, hey, could you do this next time? That's just constructive criticism, right? Except we will receive that as like a rejection, as almost a complaint or as a blame of some sorts, right? That's very, very common, especially like in our insecure kind of heart sometimes when we're wounded that's going to happen. Except what happens when someone does come up to you and to ask you to do something better? You get to learn. You get to be better, right? Mm-hmm. So how can we look at every single time you make a mistake as a great thing? How can we reshift this in your body to almost be excited every time you make a mistake?
I'm not sure.
No, that's good.
Just to be grateful, because they've told me. Once I know, there's no guesswork anymore. Okay, that's for this beautiful. Okay.
Yes, because you said one of the things.
If I can't do that, I'll create a strategy. I will look into a way that I can make sure that happens.
Yeah, because you specifically stated that if they come and tell you to your face, it's no problem. And at the time, I wanted to challenge that, but we got into something else. But I wanted to say, but is that necessarily actually how you feel? Because they have come to your face a couple of times to tell you things. And then it kind of still makes you feel that like familiar feeling of like getting slapped in the face, almost of like, I made a mistake. I did something wrong. There's a fear there. Like they're not going to want me to teach for them again or something else like that's going to go on. So instead, I love the word. That's why I wanted you to come out of your mouth, because I was thinking of other things, but I love how you said, I'm going to be grateful. Like I'm going to be grateful that they came and told me, because that's the only way that I know to be better for them. And also, I'm assuming different teachers are probably going to need different things from you, right?
Yeah.
So if one teacher comes to you and says, hey, I really need you to make sure the class isn't screaming or something, does that mean that has to be the case for every class, or is that just for their class? Like you get to kind of mentally put that away for just her class, right? So if one teacher comes to you with something, it's not that in all of these other classes you've made a mistake or anything like that.
Yeah. No. Yeah,
in this one,
I'm clear on that. I do.
Okay, perfect. I love that.
And I'll even go to teachers and say, what's the noise level you allow in this classroom? Because I believe my job is to support you. And there's a teacher over here that loves collaboration. She's like, hey, as long as they're on task. And there's a teacher over there that just wants silence, which is hard for me to maintain without being a regular classroom teacher. But anyway, yes, yeah. No, I'm clear on that.
I still think you are literally one of the best casual teachers I have ever heard of. Like, I think I have so many teacher friends that they would be salivating over listening to the way that you're asking how you could help teachers. Because most substitute teachers will just kind of come in and be like, whatever, I don't care. Like, I'm not even going to do a lesson today. We're putting on a movie, things like that. Like, yeah, like, and so it's like, I love the work that you're doing. So since we're finishing up here then, tell me what some of your takeaways are so far that you've gotten from kind of our conversation, and what of what we've talked about, what goals do you want to kind of implement moving forward?
What type of goals? I think definitely boundary work. I mean, more boundary work. When you've done lots and lots of boundary work and you still need more boundary work. Okay, that's me. Yeah, so that, and then maybe just put in a 10 by 10 meter sign up on my bathroom mirror. I am not a classroom teacher. Regardless of what I expect, can I be saying to myself, I'm not a classroom teacher?
I just want to switch that real quick, so we're not doing the ironic processing theory. How can we work towards a solution with that sentence instead? Instead of saying, I am not something, what are you?
I am a casual teacher, casual relief teacher. That's right. Doing my best within the time that I have, and I need to put some time boundaries there.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you, I was going to ask you what kind of boundary work, when you mentioned boundary work, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I've done lots of little work on boundaries as far as just, not engaging certain people in conversations anymore because it's just not healthy, or they're not able to own their part. I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head. But yeah,
in terms of the
time boundaries, I haven't worked on anywhere near enough.
So real quick then, before we finish up, because I want you to get into like a more of a gold chunk here. Okay.
Yeah.
When you say boundaries, I'm just going to have better boundaries. My fear a little bit, leaving that hanging for you is that can be quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I just want us to now, I'm trying to get us really like granular, just as we're kind of finishing up here. In this context, what would boundary work look like for you? Like, what do you think you need to be working on?
As far as boundaries or as far as
boundaries? Because you said you wanted to work on your boundaries, but like that's still very broad.
Yeah. Time boundaries.
Time boundaries.
As well as, just probably those thought boundaries, not allowing I've been pretty good, instead of letting my thoughts go away, going back to the person saying, hey, I need a little bit of context. Hey, what did you really mean by this comment? Because then it contains that. But being mindful of, well, definitely time boundaries.
Let's chunk that down.
How much I do want to grow. I do want to learn, but can I contain this? Because teaching and growing in teaching will take the amount of time I'm willing to give it. So, is it just 3 hours on a weekend reading this specific thing? Is it after school? I won't even look. I won't even have a second look at the day book, how the perfect lesson would have, because today's done and dusted, and just wait. If a teacher comes to me, that's fine. Be open to it and discuss that then, but don't be the big judge of myself.
That's it. I think I think that is one genuine practical thing you can take out of this right now is do not look over the day. What did you call it again? Is it like the day's lesson?
The day book.
The day book.
Yeah.
You said it. And I love this for you. So I want you to visualize the next time you go in to work and you've had this big, long day and your habit is to look at the day book. And what do you typically do? You then see what you could have done better?
Well, I'll look at it after school.
Okay.
I'll wait until I drive home after school.
So you're off the clock.
I'm off the clock. And that will say, when I get home, let me see where I might have messed up today.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going through it with this fine-tuned go. Oh, missed that to anything. Missed that.
I love this. And I want us to just shift this real quick then. I want you to come home after working. And instead of asking yourself, where did I make a mistake today? I want you to ask yourself, where did you do great today? What did you do like stellar? What was it that made you a great casual teacher? Because you are a casual teacher.
Yeah.
What made you a great casual teacher today? And then I want you to not look at that day book. And it's going to be hard. It's like an addiction.
Yeah.
It will be. And if you have to look at it a little bit in the beginning because it's now almost become a habit, I'm okay with that. What I want you to do, though, is actively, if you are looking at that to see your mistakes, then either you genuinely need to not be judging those mistakes and you need to be having compassion for them and you need to be knowing you're only looking at them to better yourself, not to put yourself down. Because then you actively need to be asking yourself, goes with what we were talking about before, some sort of meditation. I say meditation. Meditation doesn't always need to be, like in some deep meditative state where you're going, right? Like it just means you're sitting with yourself to say, where was I great today? How was I a support system? What was it that you said? How did I empower others today? How did I use my lived experiences to have a fulfilling job today? How was my workplace both healthy and safe today? Because these are all part of your manifesto. Like these are all your words.
Yeah.
And let's really start giving your subconscious that knowledge that how amazing you actually are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
And then, put that 10 by 10 thing up on your mirror. I think it's great. Oh,
no.
All right. How are you feeling now after all of this?
I feel good. Like, there was definitely a shift at some point now. I know Nellie mentioned it at the time. I think we've just finished talking about. Anyway, really good. Really good. It's good to zoom out and then zoom back in. And I've definitely met some situations, definitely given meaning to some situation. And then through talking them out, I'm just like, wow, one person, one comment. And all of a sudden, I'm almost like making it's all about me. It's every teacher about me. And then when you ask me something about that other teacher, I said, actually, on the contrary, why am I putting her up on a pedestal that she's got all this experience and that any negative comments said in the school must be about me. When actually I haven't really heard anything.
I love that so much.
I haven't heard myself being spoken about.
Yeah.
I have heard her. Anyway, whatever.
No, this is great. I honestly, I think that's something that I would really love to do is, I know you don't work as a casual teacher. It seems like that often. If you've done 40 days since May, so depending on how often you do it, but I would love
3 days a week.
Okay. So are you in 3 days a week now? Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is I would love to do a follow-up with you in like 1 to 2 months to really, just for this particular thing, to see how are you feeling? Like it doesn't even necessarily need to be a coach's call, but it can just be a follow-up call of saying, how's Dee doing? Like, how are you with implementing the strategies and things now? But I think that'd be really great. But for right now, I just wanted to say thank you so much. And thank you so much for coming on with me and having this call with me. I'm honored, as always, to be a part of your journey. It means the world to me for you to be vulnerable. And thank you so much for being on my podcast. This means the absolute world to me. And I can't wait to talk to you later. Thank you so much, Dee.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Thanks very much. Yeah, I'd love to talk to you again.
Wow. I really hope you got a chance to listen to that coaching call. Because chatting with Dee, it was kind of like opening up a book you couldn't put down, right? It's clear now that her journey into teaching is so much more than her career shift. It's a deep dive into her personal growth and embracing who she is and leveling up professionally. Dee shared her heart out about the hurdles of imposter syndrome and perfectionism. Even the most passionate folks face these giants. But getting past them, that's where the magic of looking inward, staying resilient, and keeping that learning flame alive comes in. Her tales from the trenches of casual teaching shed so much light on what it really takes to thrive in education. And it's all about being agile and setting clear boundaries and finding that sweet spot, between work and everything else that makes you, you. But Dee's eagerness to lap up feedback and learn from all of the oops moments and lift others up just shows that she's all in. The mindset isn't just about being a great teacher. It's about leaving a mark, making those connections that really count. This call was a big reminder of how crucial it is to talk things out and treat ourselves kindly as we grow. Dee's story is a nudge for all of us to stay real, face our challenges head on, and cherish our unique journey. Reflecting on my chat with Dee, it's all about the strength and resilience, the beauty of self-reflection, and making space for support and understanding. Dee's path is a brilliant beacon for anyone stepping into doubt and uncertainty, showing us our true power shines bright when we're open to change and faithful to what we stand for. So let's take a leaf out of Dee's book. And remember, our biggest wins often sprout from our willingness to evolve, adapt, and stay grounded in what matters most. I hope you have a great week, and thank you so much for listening. As we wrap up today's conversation, always remember that healing is a journey, not a destination, and it is an honor to be a part of your healing journey. If you want to dig deeper into the topics we covered today, be sure to head over to our show notes where you can find all of the valuable information mentioned in today's episode right there. And please remember to rate, review, and subscribe if you enjoyed today's podcast. Your feedback means the world to us and helps others discover our podcast. Until next time, remember to speak up and speak honest.